Nobody could have predicted this explosion. On a podcast that slapped the gospel world across the face, Tiffany Mann, daughter of Tamla Mann, out of the shadows and pulled the trigger on a secret she'd been choking on for years. "I've been quiet my whole life," she confessed. "But I'm done protecting people who never protected me. This wasn't a PR stunt. This wasn't messy gossip. And it definitely wasn't clout hunting. It was raw. It was brutal. And it bulldozed the carefully polished narrative of the Mann empire. Because according to Tiffany, David Mann was never the doting dad the public worshipped. He was the opposite. And if she's telling the truth, this is a full-on reckoning, and it's barely getting warmed up. For years, the Manns were crowned gospel royalty. On screen, prayed off screen, and projected the image of a Christian dream team. To the outside world, the Manns were the blueprint, the perfect couple, the loving parents, the very definition of Black excellence wrapped in gospel packaging. Behind the viral videos, red carpet grins, and endless gospel tours was a daughter who says she never felt loved. While fans cheered, Tiffany claims she was silently breaking in her own home. This wasn't some careless slip of the tongue, it was a calculated confession that torched the family's polished image. If she's telling the truth, then that perfect portrait wasn't real at all. Just a carefully staged photo. And Tiffany, she's the one who smashed the frame, sending shockwaves straight through the internet. The moment Tiffany dropped her truth, the room froze. Not even as a kid, this wasn't shade thrown at a stranger. This was aimed at David Mann, the same man fans adored on Meet the Browns, the same man who belted love songs alongside Tamala. But Tiffany's voice trembled as she tore the curtain down. He didn't treat her like a daughter, he treated her like a problem. No hugs, no bond, no real connection. Instead, she painted a picture of childhood rejection, drip-fed in slow, painful doses, years of waiting for love that never came. Every attempt Tiffany made to bond was met with cold shoulders and dismissive glances. No embrace, no nurture, not even acknowledgement. The result? Years of emotional chaos. A daughter questioning her worth, left to wonder why he loved everyone else but not her. And the sting, according to Tiffany, wasn't random, it was relentless. She grew up feeling like she was born into a spotlight that somehow had no space for her. But the heartbreak didn't stop there. Tiffany didn't beg for sympathy, didn't rant, didn't scream. Instead, no big birthdays, no cards, no surprise hugs, no father-daughter talks. She wasn't demanding diamonds, she was craving presence. A simple effort, to be remembered. Yet, year after year, she'd get her hopes up only to watch them crumble in silence. Not once, not twice, but again and again. For Tiffany, it was never about being spoiled. It was about mattering, about feeling seen, about knowing she was loved, and not just by Tamla, but by David, too. What Tiffany says she got instead was silence, distance, and absence. "He never fulfilled my wishes," she recalled. "Not for birthdays, not for milestones." It wasn't about what David Mann couldn't give, it was about what he flat out chose not to. The message, according to her, was unmistakable. You don't belong. Imagine growing up surrounded by gospel music, love songs, and praise anthems, yet feeling like your very existence was an afterthought. Tiffany wasn't lashing out for clout, she was shining a light on a painful truth countless children in blended families quietly carry. The deepest scars often come not from harsh words, but from love withheld. When Tiffany stepped into adulthood, she thought the script might finally flip. But that's when, she claims, David suddenly changed. Not with tears, not with heartfelt apologies, but with a shift that felt staged. He tried to get close, but it rang hollow. It might have looked like a father's attempt at reconnection, but Tiffany says it reeked of image control, like he was rewriting history without ever owning the past. No heart-to-hearts, no accountability. Just a last-minute performance of fatherhood, years too late. Tiffany says when David Mann suddenly stepped into the dad role, it wasn't healing, it was hollow. She didn't need surface-level smiles for the cameras. She needed accountability. She needed someone to look her in the eye and admit, "I failed you and I'm sorry." But that moment never came. So instead of closure, the distance only widened. To Tiffany, this wasn't a father making things right. Tit was a man trying to rewrite the ending of a story he never bothered to start. And by then, the damage was done. Yet, just when fans thought her confession had peaked, she dropped the twist that nobody saw coming. With a pause and a chilling calm, Tiffany delivered the knockout. "I filed a lawsuit against David Mann. No yelling, no theatrics, just cold facts. Why? Because he kept my bank accounts. I didn't even have control over my own money." The room froze. Even the host sat stunned, scrambling for words. Money she earned, work she did, yet David controlled it all. For a man hailed as funny, loving, and family-centered, the allegation hit like a thunderclap. This wasn't just about emotional neglect. Anymore, it was about power, control, and money. If Tiffany's claims are true, then David Mann didn't just ghost her emotionally, he clutched onto something that was never his to begin with. Some listeners tried to soften it, calling it a misunderstanding. Others guessed it was a messy parental arrangement gone wrong. But Tiffany shut all that down with one brutal point. She didn't feel protected, she felt robbed. Robbed of her voice. Robbed of the trust a daughter should place in her father. By the time she went legal, it wasn't even about money anymore. It was about finally standing up for herself. This wasn't some bitter stepchild tossing shade. This was a grown woman reclaiming her story and demanding her worth. Louder than the rest. Where was Tiffany Mann in all this? The fallout was instant. This wasn't a petty family squabble, which gospel royalty unraveling live. Hashtags like hashtag Tiffany Mann, hashtag David Mann, and hashtag gospel family drama shot to the top of the charts. Podcast clips swarmed TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram reels, each edit rawer than the last. Shocked fans couldn't process it. "This changes everything," one tweet gasped. Teary TikTok duets poured in, fans clutching their chests, shaking their heads in disbelief as if Tiffany's pain had sliced through them too. The comment sections exploded within minutes. "I believe her, you can hear the pain in her voice. This explains everything." Fans pointed out how some grilled her timing. Why now? Why public? Why not therapy instead of a podcast mic? People will say anything for clout. But as messy as the arguments got, one truth cut through the noise. Tiffany's story had struck a nerve. She wasn't just speaking for herself, she was speaking for every kid who ever felt like a stranger. In their own home, for every blended family where love wasn't evenly divided, for every silent cry muffled by a picture-perfect image. And as the views skyrocketed and the headlines spread, it was obvious this storm wasn't passing. Yet louder than Tiffany's voice. Silence from David Mann. Silence from Tiffany Mann. No denial, no defense, no apology. Public with claims of abandonment, financial control, and deep-rooted pain. People don't expect sermons, they expect answers. Some fans tried giving the Manns the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they're still processing. Maybe they're choosing grace over gossip. Not everything has to be handled with a post, right? But others weren't buying it. If it's not true, why not deny it? If it is true, why no apology? They asked. You don't stay silent when your child is bleeding out in public. For Tiffany, though, silence wasn't shocking, it was familiar. It's what she grew up with. It's what carved her trust issues. And now, even after bravely spilling her truth, that same silence roared back, louder than ever. Fingers pointed at Tiffany Mann, with critics asking how a mother could stand so still while her daughter drowned in pain. Others accused the family of protecting their brand over their blood. Because let's be real, gospel grace doesn't erase accountability. And for fans who once crowned the Manns as spiritual role models, the hush-hush act is sparking ugly questions. Is it strategy? Is it shame? Or is it exactly what Tiffany painted, a refusal to face the truth? Whatever the answer, one thing is clear. The world is watching. And every second of silence sounds less like grace and more like confirmation.